ESPN's Aaron Schatz here suggests that the Giants should select and sign Lawrence Guy to be the next guy to add onto the roster. I didn't mean to say it with the next guy. Who did they tend to be the next guy? But yeah, I mean, we've talked about this on the show a lot. That in the end, the Giants need to get some help on that defensive line, guys. They really need some help there. I'm sorry. I'm gonna. There's certain things I harp on in the offseason because I feel like the Giants just haven't addressed it. That to me is the biggest weakness in the team. And I know people are going to say corner. We need Stephon Gilmore. I get it, but if Gilmore wasn't there and available, I don't think people would be clamoring as much. They just see a need and a guy who's got a history of being a Pro Bowl caliber corner. That's why they're saying it. You know, the biggest need to me, though, really is that defensive line. You got Dexter Lawrence, who obviously is a freaking stud and the best nose tackle in the entire football, world at that point. Nacho, who has got a lot of experience, and I have no problem with him starting, but he had an underwhelming season last year. He didn't exactly live up to the expectations we had of him. And then you got a bunch of late round picks that we don't know what to think of. Like, to get a guy who's got a lot of, experience in this league, an older guy. So it's not you got to, okay, well, this guy's definitely going to be around for the next 5 years. No, he's a stopgap Band-Aid for 1 year. Kind of like we were saying with Calais Campbell before the Dolphins signed him. So you can get a guy who's been around a little bit there, Here's what he said, on ESPN about picking up guy there. He said, the Giants' biggest roster hole probably is tight end after retirement of Darren Waller. But without a lot of strong tight ends available on the free agency market, it's hard to recommend that as a big final move. Instead, the Giants have several places on their defense where they can add veteran depth. Guy spent the last 7 seasons with the Patriots and can play against the pass and the run. He had an 83% stop rate last season on his run tackles, meaning that they stopped a successful offensive play 83% of the time. The Giants don't want to be rotating out Dexter Lawrence very much, but Guy would give them more depth along with Jordan Phillips and Rakeem Nunez-Roches. Now, first off, guys, tight end is not the biggest hole. Yeah. That's part of the problem I have with guys who like are NFL guys, not a team guy. Like, and it's not knocking, Aaron like that. All these guys do it. You can't follow religiously 32 teams. You can't.
Well, it's also not that. They go, all right, Waller's a big name in this NFL. He's, arguably top 5 we should be when he's healthy.
Yeah.
At the tight end spot. So you lose a guy like that. Like, people say that's a hole, but depending on how your offense is set up, is it really a hole? How your tight end game is playing out? Like, would you say...
It's not a hole to me because you got the starter from 2 years ago still on the roster, plus you have a guy you just drafted.
Correct. But once again, I'm just saying, like, you look at, like, Travis Kelce retires next year, right? They go to the playoffs, he retires. They're going to say how many times Kansas City has to fill that hole of the tight end position. But is it really a hole for them? Because you still got Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Do they really need Kelce to be a number receiver?
But like, is that the hole? Don't know who's the backup tight end for the Chiefs. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I couldn't. But, I mean, you're talking about the best receiver.
That's my whole point of why guys can't cover the NFL and speak like this, because they don't know. They don't. It's impossible to know every single player in the NFL. Now, I have no clue the backup tight end is for the Chiefs, so I would never say, oh, the Chiefs would need one in your scenario where Travis Kelce retires. But
I'm just saying because he's the number one guy at that spot.
Yeah.
So, like, you obviously going to say that.
But that's what the guy just did. He said, oh, they need the biggest hole they have is tight end because they lost Waller. Yeah. Like, that's ridiculous.
That's what I'm saying, because he's number 5. Like, he's a top 5.
I get that. You could say he's the biggest loss, potentially. But even that would be
the biggest hole. It's different.
A bigger loss. Xavier McKinney's a bigger loss.
Yeah.
But, that he'd be at least entitled to his opinion in that regard.
Yeah.
But the biggest hole, you can't say that.
Yes.
I'm not going to entitle him to that opinion. That's stupid.
That's what I was trying to get. It's like, it's a big loss, but it's not a big hole.
Yeah, but I mean, Lawrence Guy overall is a 13-year vet, guys. He had a 45.4 PFF grade last year, so not very good. And again, he's 34 34 years old. But he's a guy with starting experience that you could put on a starter, and he's a 1-year Band-Aid. And if he is still available at this time, guys, that means one thing: he's going to be cheap.
Super
I'm
cheap.
all for signing another veteran to this line. I'm sorry. I don't like the fact that we're going in with this group. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe these guys look great, and the Giants are very confident in our 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks the last 3 years, but I'm sorry. That's a little crazy.
Yeah.
That's a little crazy. You need to have one guy who's got a proven track record that's not going to embarrass himself just in case. Because you just don't know. You don't know. So.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.